Horns up and welcome to a brand new episode of Headbanger's Kitchen. Folks, this may feel like deja vu, but I'm back with another Turkish recipe. And today we're going to be making Adana Kebab. This is a very popular kebab in Turkey and it is succulent and delicious. Of course, I am not doing an authentic version. I'm going to do the Headbanger's Kitchen version. We're also going to try two different grinds of meat and two different cooking methods. This is going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, let's get cooking. Normally Adana kebab is made with lamb, but I'm using ground beef for this recipe because that's easier for everyone to find and cheaper too. Now since this beef is fairly lean, I'm adding in some beef fat because, well, fat is flavor. I made the mistake of not cutting this fat into smaller pieces, but more on that later. Anyway, you can just buy 80-20 ground beef for this recipe. I'm going to be using my chopper to chop my vegetables for this recipe, but you can also do it by hand. I start by roughly chopping an onion. Get in the chopper! Some garlic cloves. Get in the chopper now! I remove the stems and seeds from a red pepper and roughly chop it, and then into the chopper now! Then finally a green pepper as well, roughly chopped, and get in the chopper! Now it's time to chop and let the chopper work its magic. I did have to open it up and scrape down the sides to ensure an even chop. Once the veggies are chopped down to little teeny tiny bits, I remove it and put it into a bowl. Now you can see the vegetables have released a lot of water and I need to get rid of all of that because that will mess with the texture and flavor of the kebab. So I squeeze out the water after putting a special blue glove on my hand because I didn't want my hand to smell. Anyway, I realized that the glove is pretty useless, so finally the last bits I run through a strainer, which is what I should have done in the first place. Now if you know what I should do with the leftover liquid, let me know. I think it would be good to marinate some chicken thighs or some chicken breasts with. Now add salt, paprika, urfa peppers, sumac and oregano and give everything a good mix. I tried mixing it with a spoon, but I was pretty unsuccessful, so I got my blue glove back on and gave everything a proper mix. I take half that mixture and I put it back in the chopper and I give it a good chopping. This is gonna give it a unique and different texture and I wanna see how it compares. So once that is ground to a smooth paste, I remove it from the chopper and that's one kind of kebab mix done and ready. So I pop that in the fridge. For the second method, I bring back the blue glove and I hand chop the meat. Now if I'm being honest, you only need to do this when you buy meat pieces, and this is basically grinding the meat by hand. Now the reason I'm doing this is because I did not chop the fat into smaller pieces, so I don't want big chunks of fat in the meat. So that's why I'm doing this. Of course, if you've got 80-20 ground beef, you don't need to do this. But anyway, I chop the meat till I can chop no more, and that's my second kebab mix ready. Now I got these proper kebab skewers from Istanbul. But if you don't have these wide skewers, I show you a little hack on how to make them at home in my kebab kubide recipe video. So click on the I button on the top right or left hand side of the screen and check out that video. Now it's time to weigh out the meat and it's time to skewer the kebabs. And I gotta be honest, this is not my area of expertise. But this is one of those things, the more you practice it, the better you get. So I do my best and I skewer those kebabs. Now a few tips I can share is if you don't have a glove, you can wet your hands and that will prevent the meat from sticking to your hands, and you want to make sure the meat is nice and cold. That will also help. Anyway, once I've skewered both different grinds, it's time to cook it two different ways. First up, get your cast iron pan on the stove and heat it up. To know it's hot enough, sprinkle a bit of water and it should vanish in a flash. Then place your kebabs on it. Now what will happen is your pan gets hot and starts to smoke, and that crazy heat from below is going to cook the kebabs. I saw a couple of people use this method, so I said let me try it out. Of course, you can also just pop it into your oven or air fryer, which is similar. Also realize I can't do that because these skewers have wood handles and it won't fit in my oven. Anyway, I just let these cook and I keep turning them every 30 seconds or so. At some point as it cooks, the juices and the fat will fall down and hit the pan and create smoke. As you can see, there is a ton of smoke, so make sure your exhaust fan is on full blast, but really this might set off the smoke alarm in your house, so be careful. I keep cooking it, and while it's getting close to being done, I also throw my pita bread on top to warm it up and also soak in some of those juices, and once they are cooked, I remove them. Now using the pita bread, I remove the kebabs from the skewers and you can see the distinct difference in the grinds. One has nice big bits of fat and the other one doesn't. Both look absolutely juicy and delicious, but they have no crazy char or caramelization on the outside. For the next cooking method, I get a cast iron dosa tawa, a flat top will do as well. I heat some oil and once it's hot, I lay those kebabs down. Now just let it cook, and once you see the sides of the kebab starting to turn a different color, well, that's when you know it's time to flip it. And I do just that. Now you can see the thicker grind kebab has lost a large chunk, and that's because there was probably a lot of fat there which has rendered out, which is why you don't want big pieces of fat. Just take a look at the crust on those kebabs. Wow. Anyway, once it's done cooking on both sides, remove it. Now I'm out of pita bread, so I use a corn tortilla to remove it from the skewers, and our second set of kebabs are done and ready. And just look at the crust on those kebabs. Yum! Now to quickly whip up a little salad to go with the kebabs, I get a red onion and I chop it up and I add it to a bowl. Then I get a tomato, I remove the insides, I cut it into cubes and then I add that to a bowl as well. I also chop some parsley and I add that to the bowl. A squeeze of lemon juice, some sumac and some salt, and I give it a good mix and our little sumac onion salad is ready. And that's it, our Adana kebab with a little salad on the side is done. We've made 2 different grinds of meat, we've cooked them 2 different ways, and now there is nothing left to do but a taste test and find out which grind and which cooking method is superior. Anyway, enough jibber jabber, time to taste. Alright folks, it's time to taste the many kebabs that I have made and to find out how much of a difference does it make when you change the grind and the cooking methods and all of that. So let me dive in. Now the first one is going to be the one that was cooked on the griddle, and this is the thicker grind of meat. That is flavor city. The meat is meaty, like you can feel like you're eating meat. Like the grind, oh yeah, you can feel that meatiness. Let's try the one on the griddle with the pastier meat. This definitely has a smoother texture, but it's so good. Wow, both of these amazing, and you get that lovely flavor of the caramelization on the kebab. But now let's try the other one. So this is the thick grind, and this is the one done on the cast iron where the kebab didn't touch the pan and took a lot of time and a lot of smoke to cook. So this is nice. It's got a bit of a smoky flavor from that cast iron burning and all the smoke, but it's missing a little bit of the flavor you get when you cook it on the griddle, because all the juices, they sort of concentrate and stick to the kebab, whereas here everything drips down. Like even the fat in this hasn't rendered completely. It's nice, but I think I prefer the griddle one better. And let's try the last one, the pastier one on the cast iron. Again, tasty. It's got that smoke flavor which I like, but it is missing that crust that you get when you pan fry the kebabs. So I don't know, I think I would do it on the griddle at home. If I was outdoors, if I had a grill where I could, barbecue it over charcoal, definitely I would do that. But at home, I don't think I would take the trouble and dealing with that amount of smoke in the house. So that's my verdict. You let me know once you've tried making these, and I will see you on the next episode of Headbangers Kitchen. Until then, cheers and keep cooking. Hopefully you enjoyed that recipe for Adana Kebab, Adana Kebab. And a big thank you to all the people who support me on Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. You are awesome. Oh yeah.